Good morning, Mr. President and distinguished guests. I am here representing the Human Rights Watch in regard to the slew of human rights violations occurring right now in Yemen. The current civil war in Yemen is ground zero for multiple human rights violations and war crimes involving multiple states. Many of these states are represented at this Human Rights Commission today. According to your office, Mr. President, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Saudi Arabian airstrikes in Yemen have led to 6,872 civilian deaths and 10,768 wounded. Many of these airstrikes did not so much as attempt to reach military targets. One, for example, targeted a funeral and another a wedding. Some of these civilian gatherings were even double tapped by bombers. This means that they were struck once and then waited for first responders to arrive and then struck again. Even if there had been persons of military interest in attendance at these events, the double tap intended to kill first responders is barbaric, shows a blatant disregard for human life, and is a war crime. Now, I understand that Saudi Arabia, France, the United States, Great Britain, and others fear another Shia regime in the Middle East, but does that give them the right to slaughter civilians and cause the poor citizens of Yemen, who have no interest in the conflict and only want to provide for their families, to have to bury their children because they are dying of starvation due to the Saudi Arabian imposed famine? Yes, there is a famine in Yemen, and it's not because of any natural food shortage. The famine is a result of economic espionage by the Saudi Arabian government. The Saudis have imposed blockades, and the Saudi-backed government in Yemen has stopped paying government employees in many parts of the country. They have also printed off vast quantities of money to intentionally devalue their currency. This has caused the upper class to become middle class, the middle class to become lower class, and the lower class to have to bury their children because they're the most susceptible to starvation. Yet, the United States, France, and the United Kingdom continue to provide military munitions, intelligence, and the United States even provided in-flight refueling for Saudi Arabian operations in Yemen. Mr. President, Saudi Arabia is committing war crimes in Yemen. They've even executed and dismembered a journalist in their embassy in Turkey because of their obvious guilt. This commission must not allow its members, those who supposedly are here today to stand together to protect human rights in the world, to continue to support Saudi Arabia in what is becoming the biggest human rights catastrophe of our time. Thank you, Mr. President.